Aloha, good morning. Wasn't it awesome? My name is Russell Castanero, and I'd like to welcome you to the First Unitarian Church of Honolulu, a member of the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations. We're a free religious community inspired by shared principles and a mission to boldly grow.
Compassion, justice, and joy.
That was compassion, justice, and joy for those. We welcome people of all faiths and walks of life. You're welcome whatever your spiritual practice, gender, race, sexual orientation, political party, or age. We respect your right to love and be loved, your right to believe or not to believe. We think your questions are worthy of answers no matter how long it takes to answer them. We know that our planet is sacred and that each of us can make it even better by promoting peace, justice, and thoughtfulness. Most of all, we believe that you are an integral part of our church family. And so I not only welcome you, but thank you for coming this morning and being such an important part of the positive energy and good works that happen here inside these walls and outside. So before we begin, I want to bring your attention to some of the announcements. There are a lot of announcements inside your order of service. I'll just talk about a couple of them, or a few of them. The first one is a few weeks from now, June 9th, we have our annual meeting where we have all sorts of fun, very friendly discourse about important things like about things like the annual budgets, the board, all sorts of fun things, very important stuff. And it actually gets more and more fun every year you go. So come on down, get those first painful ones out of the way. We also have, after church, we've got a UU young adult gathering today, the 18 to 35-year-olds. I remember when I was in there and I thought, I'm not a young adult.
How old are 6-year-olds?
The 6-year-olds are meeting right here and upstairs after the song. Good question. What else do we have here? We have the donation guidelines. Does anyone here know that song, Thrift Shop? Familiar with it? It's totally awesome, isn't it? Well, you can take your stuff, unsolicited donations. We're not really looking for those anymore, but the thrift shop is a great place to go with those. So we do appreciate donations, but unsolicited ones, we're not really looking for those much anymore. We appreciate them. It's amazing. So, is there anything else I'm forgetting?
Spaghetti lunch!
Oh, spaghetti lunch. Thank you, Lou. Spaghetti lunch. How could I forget spaghetti lunch? So after the service, we have a phenomenal spaghetti lunch. And those of you who are not church members and you're visiting maybe for the first time, you get a free
Spaghetti lunch!
a free spaghetti lunch. That's right. Not only a free lunch, it's a free spaghetti lunch. Congratulations. And you don't have, that's right, you don't have to pay them. Okay, now, right now, before we get into the spirit of aloha, I'd like to introduce Reverend Wendy von Zirpolo. She's coming to us from New England, where she is a 3rd and 5th generation UU. You should ask her about that, because I don't understand you. And she serves at the Marblehead, Massachusetts congregation. She's involved nationally with UUA at many levels, including working with Reverend John for our beloved minister quite a bit. So, just continuing, we welcome...
Wait, I have to get the leg.
Oh, the leg. Oh my gosh. What is this, Hawaii?
No, I'm trying to pay attention.
Thank God one of us is.
And the kisses.
Thank you.
As we light this flame, we come together to celebrate life's mysteries and to honor the spark of transcendent light within each of us. So let's all join our voices together and say,
We light this chalice with the embers of compassion. We light this chalice with the torch of justice. We light this chalice with the radiance of joy.
Good morning. And what a total treat it is to be here with you all. Now, I always feel like I'm at home in a UU congregation, no matter where it is. And this one's particularly special this morning because I have somebody that I already know here. And I also need some help with the story. So I know that you're all going to help, but Lulu and Zafra, whose birthday it is next weekend, right? Mine was yesterday, yours is next weekend, are going to help me. But I see somebody else who I know is going to help me because I need a couple of children, but I also need an elder. And so I'd like to invite Liz Flannery forward because I know to some she will appear an elder, not to me. But mostly I want to hug her because I haven't seen her since she was way on the other coast. So would you help with the story too? Cool. All right. This story is adapted a little bit. Come on over here, elder. And it's Zafra. Isn't it fun calling her an elder? Isn't she like wicked old to you? Do you know how many brothers and sisters she has? Take a guess. More than 3. 5. 5, yes. Who said that? Nice job. All right. So this is a story about a beach. You have some beaches here, right? Where I live, there are beaches too. Do you have any long beaches here? Yes. Do you have any starfish here? Okay, well, this is a very important story about starfish. But the first thing I have to tell you is that we're going to be doing things with these starfish which you should never do with a real starfish, okay? So, pinky swear that you'll never do what we're going to do with a real starfish, okay? Pinky swear. Pinky?
Are we
Okay,
gonna
pinky?
hurt them?
We're not going to hurt them. It's just these starfish like to do something that other starfish would never, ever, ever like to do, okay? So here's how the story goes. One day an elder, and in this case 2 of her young friends, were walking along and they came up to a great big beach, a huge beach. And everywhere there were starfish all over the ground, all over the sand, right? Just leave it there for now. Okay, this is the part I get to do. You're going to know your part in just minutes. Okay, if 2 land together. Oh, don't touch them yet, because you're just standing there next to the elder, right over there. And you come up and you see the starfish everywhere, and then first, Saffron picked one up. And Saffron picked up the starfish and looked at it, and she smiled at the starfish. She said, "Have a great day," and then she sent it back to its home in the ocean like this. Go ahead, send it off. And then Lulu picked up a starfish. And she looked at it and she smiled at the starfish and she said, "Have a good day," and she sent it back to its home in the ocean. And then Saffron and Lulu kept doing that. And the elder, who was not being her very best self on that particular day, put her hand on her hip and looked at them and said, "You know, girls, you can't possibly make a difference. Look at all these starfish."
Too many.
Too many, that's right, that's what she said. And so Saffron picked up one more starfish, and Lulu did too at the same time. And they both looked very respectfully at the elder, but they thought she's not being her best self. And they looked and said, "Well, we know we can't make a difference to all of the starfish, but we can make a difference to this one." And then they smiled at that starfish, smiled at it, and said, "Have a good day," and sent it back to its earthly home. And then the other children that were sitting nearby, they started doing it too. And you know what? After a few minutes, darn if the elder didn't start picking up starfish, smiling at them, telling them to have a great day, and sending them back to their home in the sea. Thank you to this fabulous group. And we'll sing them out to your classes now.
Sing them out of the sneaker race. Here we go. You shall know about the joy and healing for your peace. The hills shall break forth before you, and the shouts of joy, and all the trees of the field shall clap their hands. And all the trees of the field shall clap their hands. Trees of the field shall clap their hands. Trees of the field shall clap.
You've got to just love a UU congregation. I offer now these words of invocation. They are my favorites, and because they sung in 3rd and 5th generation, so that's how many generations of UUs I come from. I was privileged to be just plopped into the faith, and I am so grateful for it, and believe that I've given birth to 4 more of the then, right, work with me now, 4th and 6th generation Unitarian Universalists. But these words from Rebecca Edmonston Lang to me sum up our theology. Come in. Come into this place which we make holy by our presence. Come in with all of your vulnerabilities and strengths, fears and anxieties, loves and hopes. For here you need not hide nor pretend, nor be anything other than who you are and are called to be. Come into this place where we can touch and be touched, heal and be healed, forgive and be forgiven. Come into this place where the ordinary is sanctified, the human is celebrated, and the compassionate is expected. Come into this place. Together we make it a holy place.
You may remain seated as we sing this.
Today we gather together, called by our sense of urgency and longing for community. We are called to be together on this day, called to be a part in weaving a web of human community. Some of us have come in sorrow in our hearts. Today in the Book of Life we have one sorrow, and that is that Judy Robeck, a longtime UU member of this church, who has lived on Maui, died on Monday at the age of 93. Private services will be held on Maui. As my left hand passes, please speak the name of anyone in your life who is carrying grief. You can either say it aloud or think it if it's too tender to leave the privacy of your heart.
Jim and his family.
And in the complexities of community, it is right that this space have that the space comes with joy. And if that joy is bubbling in your heart, you can put it down in the Book of Life that normally sits over there on the lectern. Today the joys, we have 2 joys from Zafran Castanero, one of which is she completed a keiki triathlon last week. And also, as she mentioned, it's her birthday next week and she'll be turning 8. And we met Tuppence's mother, Jane, and she is visiting from Virginia for a week. And she is just delighted in watching her daughter as she goes through her day. Knowing, though far away, she has found a support and comforting community, and she's making new friends with Karen and Richard and their family, and she thanks everyone. So as I pass my right hand across the congregation, if you have a joy that you wish to speak or just think of it in your mind, you can speak those words aloud now. And if you are having trouble, and if your life is a little bit mixed up, or you need guidance, feel free to talk to one of our lay ministers, and then you can recognize them by their Pukunat lays, or you can certainly talk to Reverend Jonathan.
Won't you join me now in a responsive reading? It's on the screen, but also in the order of service. It's from the Metta Sutta. It's the Buddha's words on loving kindness. I will be the one and you will be the many. This is what should be done by those who are skilled in goodness and who know the path of peace.
Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm, and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature.
Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove. Wishing in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and those far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease.
Let none deceive another, or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another.
Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upward toward the skies and downward to the depths, outward and unbounded, free from hatred and ill will.
Whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness, one should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding, by not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world.
Thus ends the morning reading, and thus ends any attempt to keep my hair in check with this beautiful, fabulous Hawaiian breeze behind me. When my children were in grade school, I used to volunteer in each one of their classrooms, and I have 4 children. It was just a delight. We were up at a small elementary school in southern New Hampshire, where the principal invited the children to have pizza with her in her office on their birthdays. Parents were encouraged to volunteer. As I recall, mine let me volunteer until middle school when they said, we're all set. But it was wonderful, and it was intimate, it was small enough that one could truly know all of the teachers and the support staff. Through volunteering, I came to appreciate each of the teachers that my children encountered. I definitely had favorites. There was Mrs. Kirsch, who taught them about their digestive system by making them each part of the body and then moving a piece of food through them with the waves of giggling as they got to the end. She also brought in a cocoon each year so that the children could experience the emergence of a monarch butterfly. And then there was Mrs. Maines, who was just so even-tempered and affirming. And Mrs. Gustafson, who was a bit of a bear and very demanding, but very creative and engaging too. They were all wonderful, each in their own way. But this one teacher in particular won my heart forever. Mrs. Braffett was a first and second grade teacher. And so she had her students for 2 years in a row, and then she would loop back and get another group. So I was lucky because 2 of my children had her, and so we were in that classroom for 4 years. When I volunteered in her classroom, what I found out is that she became my teacher too. And she taught me a lesson that I hold dear today, nearly 20 years later. Each year, Mrs. Braffett would make a date with each child at their house or apartment, condominium, wherever they lived. She would arrange to come there and visit them. Now, Mom, she would say, when I say I'm coming to visit your daughter, Amanda, I really mean I'm coming to visit your daughter, Amanda. I'm not coming to have coffee with you. And I won't be talking with any of the other children. This will be Amanda's time. If she wants to play hide and seek outside or make mud pies or finger paint, then that's what we will do. Whatever she wants to do during that time, because I want to know her and I want to have an experience that we can reference later on in the classroom. She had found, Mrs. Braffett had, that after many years of teaching, that once she knew a child, really knew a child, that she could connect with them better at school, particularly if they were struggling in some way. And so come over she did. And my daughter Amanda took her out to meet Butchie, our llama, Lydia, our goat, and then the dogs, Teapot and Duchess, and then the cats, Giovanni, also known as Bubby, Sasquatch, Magic, and Jessica, and probably a few graves of pets along the way. I have no idea what they talked about, but I know that they connected. I know my daughter had fun, and I know it was special to her. I have never heard of another teacher taking the time to do this. Of course, it helped that there were only 16 students in the classroom, but I have a feeling that Mrs. Braffett would have found, made the time to do this, no matter how many they were. And the reason I remember her so well is not because she did it, it was because of the way she did it and what the results were after on. She spent time with children that I think it probably was difficult, or it would have been difficult for me to spend time with. You know that child that arrives at school angry because perhaps of a home situation that's difficult? Or the child that bullies, perhaps bullied themselves or because of their own low self-esteem? Or the child that just won't stop asking why? We've met them all, and at times we have been them. What I hope is that I showed up in Mrs. Braffett's class myself open to help and respect every child. But I know, if I'm honest with myself, that I found some easier to adore than others. But she loved every single one. She was determined to love every single one. She made a choice to love every single one. And in the process, unknowingly or perhaps knowingly, taught me to look beyond what I saw at first glance or even second. She invited me to go beyond being kind and fair to all children, to loving each and every one. And this is the really important thing. She invited me to find what it was that made them shine on the inside. Not what they liked doing, but what they had to share of themselves, what they would gift the world with. She saw them, she really saw them. And she believed, truly believed in the good within. And because she believed, she showed us all how to believe as well. I can still picture the way this one little boy's entire body language would change when she would compliment his artwork and point it out to others. And it was beautiful, his artwork. But what was the most beautiful was the way that she loved him, and on that knowing level made a difference to his experience, his entire experience of school that would continue after that first grade. A boy who in all other ways may have been described as sullen, more than a bit rough around the edges, and in a year or two perhaps troublemaker. Hold that boy for just a moment now while I whisk you away to what might seem like a bit of a surprise. It may surprise you to hear that a lifelong Unitarian Universalist, mother of 4, a Special Olympics coach, a peace advocate, is also a fan of the show Criminal Minds. It's to tell anybody else, surely I'm not the only one, right? Yeah, some others that are like. It's a television series that follows a team of FBI profilers who focus on the criminal. It is truly gruesome in most episodes. It's definitely not for everyone. For me, I find it to be a modern-day Sherlock Holmes of sorts. I've always been a fan of mysteries and horror films and really bad shark movies. But what draws me to this show is that it always finds a way to let you know that the unsub, took me a few seasons to figure out what that was. I think I'd ask a child of mine. It's unidentified subject. But that the unsub, the criminal, is human. That this person that they are tracking started out just like you and me. Just like one of the children who sat in a first grade classroom somewhere. They then connect the crime that would have us all, admittedly and agreeing, to turn away in horror, disgust, and judgment. Certainly seeking to lock up that unsub and toss away the key perhaps. And instead connecting them, even if that's the ultimate outcome, with a real human being. A child in a first grade classroom. A real child who experienced things that landed them in a place where they did horrible things to other human beings. The team members in the show do what they have to do to catch the unsub, but they always lead with understanding and curiosity, and I would even say care. Even when they are racing the clock to save a hostage, perhaps a child, they rarely seem to lose sight of the humanness of those doing the damage. The lesson offered in Mrs. Bradford's classroom isn't all that different than the lesson offered in this show. It is to lead with love, with care and respect in every situation. Even when it feels unnatural, even when it feels unnecessary, and even when it feels impossible. And though it's an extreme example, I do believe that they are connected. So often the episodes of Criminal Minds lead back to a classroom, a family, a community of a very young person. I will tell you that the lesson embedded in those two stories tested many of us in Boston, Massachusetts in recent weeks. But there is very good news. There's the best part of this all, the very best part. Because Mrs. Bradford, she didn't have any secret powers. And those FBI profilers, they weren't granted any secret powers of loving even when it's difficult. They simply made a decision. Not a once and forever decision, more like an everyday, every person, every moment decision. And we can make that same decision if we choose to do so. We can start right here, right now, and practice it at least every Sunday, where it should be so easy, right? In Unitarian, Universalist community, wherever you find it. I would add in Hawaii, but who knows? But it should be easy. There's a great line I've heard attributed to a Unitarian Universalist minister, Reverend Karen Stoyanov. It goes something like this: church isn't the place we go to find the people we love. Church is the place we go to learn to love people we find. Church is the place to go to learn to love people we find. It sounds so simple, doesn't it? Shouldn't we all get along quite easily as a people of shared visions and values? And yet, maybe your congregation is different than the ones that I've been a member in and served in, but what are the odds of that? That any couple of hundred or even tens of people with different histories, different ages, different theologies, I'll add, different cultures, different identities, different habits, different hardwiring, will all sail smoothly along together in all things. Add on to this that while we're doing that sailing, we are called to grow in spirit, to transform ourselves, and by the way, transform the world, and manage our own institution at the same time, to grow and to govern together and to fix the whole world. It's not light lifting at all. We're just bound to rub up against the ways in which we are different, sometimes not too gracefully. We may even bang up against each other in the ways we are different. We could even crash against each other in the ways that we are different. Just attend a budget meeting. And you're having an annual meeting soon, right?
Yeah.
But yours here, all fun, all good, you should go. And then go to General Assembly, where thousands of us do it all over again. But we can decide, can't we? Because that's the magic power we're all given. We can decide that here in our faith community, we will always be guided by love in all of our relationships and all of our interactions. That we will speak directly to one another when we disagree. That we won't speak for others, but only for ourselves. That when we speak, we will have already asked internally, silently, is it true? Is it kind? Is it helpful? Is it necessary? Is it true? Is it kind? Is it helpful? Is it necessary? That we will always assume best intentions, but also allow others to speak their hurt despite our own best intentions, to speak their pain at times when we are the cause of it. We can decide that here we will seek to know one another, using the Mrs. Braffett model, leaning in to see what it is that is special about each other, believing that each of us is holy and beautiful. We can decide to do this knowing that it won't be easy, that anytime human beings gather, it is likely that some of them won't be naturally drawn to one another. We can decide to accept that and commit to acting with love and kindness anyway, knowing that this is one of the greatest gifts of religious community, and that the hardest spiritual practices, and this is one, the hardest are the most rewarding and the most powerful. Because you see, if we can learn this practice with one another, we really can change the world. And we are. We can take this practice of learning to love, even when it doesn't feel easy, out into the world where we know that it's not easy. It won't be easy when it feels unnatural, but we can decide to lean into people in our workplace, picture that, who perhaps we aren't naturally drawn to, and perhaps find annoying from time to time. We can decide to lean in with love, seeking to know them better, even knowing that it might not make their annoying habit less annoying, but that it will make them more human, reminding us that they're part of our family too, and perhaps along the way we'll find out what annoys them. It won't be easy when it feels like we are right and the other person or persons are wrong. But we can decide to give away the need to be right, to give away the impulse to be righteous, to resist the permission to be snippy or cold or uncaring, because we are, after all, the Unitarian Universalists who are in the right. And another person or tradition is so clearly in the wrong. We can trade that permission with a decision to meet, if not lean into, that person with loving curiosity about their decision or way of being or thinking that seems so wrong, knowing that it won't likely change our position, but will allow us to see that person as fellow human being doing what they are called to do in that moment. And it won't be easy when it feels frightening, when getting to know another person or lean into their way of being feels like a threat to our own way of being, or a lessening of who we are or of what we have. But we can decide that leaning into their story with love and care is not the same as putting ourselves in harm's way. And we can remember that we need not be alone in our decisions to bring love and kindness into frightening places. And along the way, we may receive the gift of learning that we needn't have been frightened after all. It won't be easy, finally. It won't be easy when it feels nearly impossible. But we can decide to try. And when we fail, we can decide to try again and again and again, remembering that our own humanness is present too, and that every day we receive this gift of starting over again in love and in kindness and in hope. And if we make these decisions one by one, just like the child and the starfish, I promise you that together we'll change our world. And this, friends, is what we're called to do. Amen.